I've spent my life in business, building brands, leading teams, driving growth. And for years, that was the goal, growth. Bigger numbers, bigger reach, bigger everything. But over time, one question kept echoing in my mind. What is all this growth if really it's going to cost us the world we live in? What if the success of companies no longer meant the suffering of the planet? What if business, the world's most powerful engine, became a force not for profit alone, but for progress, purpose, regeneration, and shared profitability? What if legacy wasn't about building empires, but about leaving something better behind? That's the question at the heart of this podcast. I'm Marisa Selfa, and this is the Impact Legacy Podcast, where bold voices and brave ideas build the legacies of tomorrow. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Will Pearson, an entrepreneur that didn't want to just do business. He identified one problem and decided that he wanted to build a business around this and have real impact. Will is the co-founder of Ocean Bottle, a company that has already collected the equivalent of 2 billion bottles in weight, right? And as you say, you keep counting. He's really turning the ocean plastic crisis into a global movement for measurable impact. He's been recognized by Forbes 30 Under 30 for his leadership in transforming purpose into tangible results. Will represents a new generation of entrepreneurs that really are providing the business as a force of change. Today, we'll explore how businesses can turn from being part of the problem to becoming the solution, and what it really takes to move from intention to measurable legacy. So, welcome, Will, to the Impact Legacy Podcast.
Marisa, thank you so much for having me on. It's great to be here. Amazing.
Yeah, we're really excited. So tell us, the first thing I will want to ask you is tell us what really inspired you to drive this this amazing project that you've been co-founding, and what was really the purpose of it?
Sure. So I'm actually half English, half Norwegian, even though it doesn't sound that way, maybe. And I spent a lot of summers sailing with my granddad in northern Norway, and I think that was where my kind of spark for the ocean first began. And it was really from there that I went to study engineering. I then spent a year working at sea as a deckhand, where I really saw kind of firsthand the side effects of plastic consumption. So I came back from that, really wanted to do something about ocean plastic. I kind of started to uncover all these quite alarming stats and statistics. I had a friend that was studying microplastics that wouldn't stop talking to me about it. Came back and really just wanted to create a way for individuals to be part of a global solution around this problem.
That's fantastic. So tell us, what are the main challenges driving this business that you want to really measure the impact and create real impact, but you still have to build a business? What are the challenges?
Yeah, so time has absolutely flown by. I'm unfortunately no longer under 30. But yeah, it's been an absolute roller coaster journey. I think starting any business is really challenging, right? And then if you're trying to do something positive for people and planet, it's even harder. The sustainable choices are often more expensive. So we found that just in the production of our product, it was just more expensive to make. But then we have our cost of impact as well. So we fund collection of 1,000 plastic bottles per ocean bottle that we sell. And the cost of that, is basically equivalent to the cost of making the product. So you add all this up and you're trying to compete against existing brands and products. And that makes it quite challenging to drive forward. But I'm glad we stuck to those commitments at the beginning, because it's allowed us to really drive things forward and do much more in terms of funding plastic collection projects than if we'd made a smaller commitment at the start.
Yeah, I think it's hard, no, to balance what the investors are wanting and what the business needs to do, and then what the purpose of it all is, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think we're fortunate to have quite impact-focused investors. So, they want financial returns because they're investors, but they're also looking for positive returns when it comes to environment and society. So that's been amazing, because they've been much more patient than maybe typical VC or investors.
Yeah, you're talking about society, and I think it's important, because I think the whole story around Ocean Bottle is very clear. It's plastic collection, it's taking care of the ocean, but I would love you to explain a little bit the amazing work you do socially, because you're really also impacting a lot of families, and they're amazing stories I've heard from it.
Yeah, so we've actually supported over 8,000 families now to date, which is kind of hard to imagine that number. But really, through investing in collection projects in coastal communities around the world. That's really kind of how we carry out our impact work. So we're setting up collection points, enabling people to exchange plastic for an income, but also get access to other social impact programs. So we have healthcare camps, education programs, education support centers. I visited one in India. It was just incredible, the impact that was created within just a year, actually, of launching that. But then all the way through to like financial literacy. So a lot of the people that we work with don't have access to a bank account. So actually providing them an ID card means that they can, get those sort of basic needs.
Listening to you, Will, it sounds like it's so easy to do this. You take care of the world and you take care of the society. It's fantastic. Tell us a bit about you privately. What changes have you done within the sustainable, movement and on your day-to-day?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll jump into that. And, to answer your question around, is it easy? I think it has been a real challenge, but we've now got an amazing team who kind of, really make it kind of possible to do what we're doing. What changes have I made personally? Well, I definitely buy a lot less crap. I don't really buy Christmas presents, which is a kind of a get out of jail free card.
Is that popular in the family that you don't buy?
Exactly. Everyone hates me. But yeah, so typically focus on experiences. And obviously I carry a water bottle everywhere. This thing's attached to me at all times.
Beautiful bottles.
But yeah, beyond that, I think it is really challenging to live a sustainable life. Everything around us is fossil fuel based. Everything's wrapped in plastic. I bring my reusable bag to the supermarket and I still fill it to the brim with plastic wrap products. So, we really believe that business needs to enable people to live, environmentally friendly lives. And that's where the responsibility, but also opportunity lies, I think.
Absolutely. And that's why I think we need a lot more companies like you and a lot of the suppliers that I'm sure you're working with and a lot of other companies do. Because I believe, there's this whole thing around sustainability and it seems like people don't want to be more responsible, but sometimes there's no other options. Like you're saying, you go to the supermarket and everything is having plastic. What do? You go out without any food, it's really hard.
It's really, really hard. I mean, I remember there was a campaign a few years ago where people were sort of unwrapping their products in the supermarket and leaving all the plastic there in protest, which is great. And I would love it if we could kind of keep up that pressure. But I think what people can really do now is, influence in their job, like where they work, or jumping into a new career for sustainability, perhaps. But then also voting with your wallet, right? Voting for brands that are doing good stuff.
Absolutely. I keep saying that, every time we buy, wherever we put our credit card, that's the future that you are betting on, right? You either buy this brand or you buy the other brand. And I think it's hard sometimes and it's not convenient, sometimes to say, I love this brand, I'm not going to buy it because it's not really ticking the boxes. But I really believe we need to be tougher as consumers and decide where you're putting your money. I think.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to see better brands take over the world. But I also think that companies that don't prioritize this are probably at risk of getting left behind because the consumer demand is still there. And obviously, we need the products to be affordable. We need them to be better or like equally good to the alternatives. I think that there's the gap for innovation, but I think it's happening.
Yeah, and I know you're very committed about how to drive that collaboration across companies because you do believe that it's not one company responsibility or mission. Tell us a bit how you're building that community.
Yeah, well, so when we started out, I think we were probably naive enough and hopeful enough to think that we could tackle the whole challenge, which, is not a reality. But we are surrounded by lots of other impact brands and solutions just like us who are really radically changing the game for what it means to drive purpose, but also profit. So those are the ones that really give me hope for the future. And I'm really excited to see those brands and companies grow and really kind of set a new example of what business for good, I think, should look like. I know this is something that really motivates you as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the way to do business. I can't believe, that we're still driving businesses only for profit. It's such an old way of looking at it, look at Ocean Bottle, you're doing your profit, but you're also doing social and environmentally impact. So I think everybody should have that role in their own company, truly.
Yeah, but it's crazy to think, but 99% of the world, yeah, still it's maximizing shareholder returns.
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting that we're starting to see now is that actually our purpose is helping drive, the financial success of the business, and that allows us to then reinvest back into purpose, and it becomes a sort of virtuous circle. So if I was to bet on like how we're going to win, it'd probably be the same for you, but like we kind of need to rewire capitalism from the inside out. I don't know.
Absolutely.
We're getting quite philosophical here.
Yeah, no, but it's absolutely right. It's the companies that actually have to drive that. Definitely it's not going to be the politics that is going to drive the big change in the world. I think it's really through the private companies that we can all do our best, Tell us about B Plus and your vision, really medium, long term. What's the real dream?
Yeah, so B Plus was a kind of a crazy idea. Really, we wanted to just unite the world's most ambitious brands and solutions for climate and nature. So in there, we have companies like Ecosia, which is the world's largest tree planting platform, to Unless Collective, who've made the world's first biodegradable sneakers, all the way through to more technical solutions like Samudra Oceans, who do AI robotics for seaweed farming, which has like huge carbon drawdown potential. So the ambition was to really just bring together these kind of game-changing companies and solutions, and then actually bring them together with the leaders of the world's largest companies, because I think we believe that by showcasing these real examples of kind of business for good in action, we can inspire but also drive collaboration between those two groups that just really don't talk together at all.
Absolutely. So as a leader, then how do you drive that impact?
Yeah, well, I wish I had more time, as probably do you. But I think the ambition with B Plus is certainly to kind of build that community and do more. And eventually, B Plus stands for net positive business, companies that give more than what they take. And yeah, hopefully we can do even more in the future.
What would you say to new entrepreneurs, the ones that are out there thinking, okay, I want to do business? How would you talk to them about doing businesses with real purpose and impact? Would you encourage them or not?
It would be hilarious if I didn't. Can you imagine? That would be a real shock. No, honestly, I would not even think twice about it. It's if you can find a global challenge that really motivates you, and figure out a business model that can tackle that head on, I think it's going to be a thrilling and exhilarating ride. And what you will find is that I think more people are willing to jump in and help out because you're actually trying to do something good. It's not to say that it's going to be without its challenges. It'll probably come with more challenges as well. But I would really, really recommend it and encourage it.
Yeah, I think they need clarity. I think we need to help the new generations to understand that that's the only way to do business. I just cannot imagine a business that is not really having an impact, positive impact, What I've found in my life is like I'm seeing the new generations coming to work for companies that really have a purpose and an impact. I'm sure you do. Having people that you interview and they're like, I just want to work there. I just want to work with you or whatever, because they just believe in the mission. And then, they want to know about the responsibilities and the salaries and the working remote and all that, But I think the mission is becoming a big driver for the new generations to decide which company they want to work for.
Yeah, and not even the new generations, but actually all generations. Like we see people who've worked in a pretty corporate setting that maybe wasn't having so much of a positive impact. In fact, probably the opposite. And they've taken the leap because they want to leave a positive legacy. So I think people are really diving in, and actually even at big companies as well, people are demanding that of their employers. So I think where we really win is where we can deliver both. Like you can pay people a good salary, you can allow them to work remote or whatever, and you're doing good in the process.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the challenge, really.
Yeah.
So, Will, I'm going back to hearing you, and it seems like everything was so easy. You set up this company, you have impact, you have a great team, you're getting all these amazing companies behind B+. It seems that, everything is flowing in a great way, but I'm sure you had amazing interesting challenges to make this work, right? Especially at the beginning with your co-founder and how you got everything started from obviously funding, but more about how you get your mission, how do you get the company, how do you accelerate, who is the person first that believes in your ocean bottle. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the journey I think has been like a sort of never-ending Atlantic crossing that one day there's a little bit of sunshine and it's kind of like peeking at you through a hole through the cloud. But then you just get whacked by like a gale force hurricane. So there's just always different challenges. I think at the beginning, one of the hardest parts is that you have no resource when you're building the company. So it was me and Nick, my co-founder, and we were doing everything. You know, we were doing product design, we're doing ops, we're doing finance, customer service, literally every single aspect of the company. And so it's quite, you know, it's pretty nonstop, but that applies to anyone who starts any business, I think. But the really kind of key part for us was we realized at the start that we had to have a product that not only was sort of category leading in terms of impact, it had to, you know, be great and look great. Like we had to have a product that was amazing. So we really invested in the product design. So we spent a year and a half on that. And yeah, I'm really glad that we did, because I think although people say they come to us for the mission, actually I think the product is a really big motivator for them. So it was the combination of those two that was really important. And yeah, it was just about knocking down any door we could find at the start. It was trying to, you know, tell people about our dreams and our ambitions and get them on board. And we were really lucky to have some incredible partners, whether that was some of the designers that we worked with in the beginning in Norway, actually, through to our first plastic collection partner, Plastic Bank, that came on board. We've really built the whole company through partnerships. So yeah, it never stops. But yeah, the team definitely power us forward and make it happen.
What's next now?
So for us next, really, we're scaling. Every product that we sell is another 1,000 plastic bottles collected, and we've got ambitions beyond that as well, because we've got an NFC in every single bottle. So with our app, you can actually register the product, track your refills, and then fund more plastic collection for free. So you can kind of be part of this community of people that are taking a simple action and actually doing more good off the back of it. So that's something that's really exciting. So yeah, more on product innovation. We're doing a lot more on brand and storytelling and kind of bringing our mission to life. And then yeah, it's really all about growing our community, more exciting partnerships. Nick, my co-founder, has moved to New York, so he's taking on the States. So yeah, it's all happening, that's for sure.
That's fantastic. Well, congratulations. I'm sure it hasn't been easy, but it looks like it's really incredible business.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
And it's still just getting started, I think. So, yeah.
That's great. That's great.
So Marisa, you are CEO of North Sales. You've led many businesses from Timberland to Adidas to Levi's, and many more, Nat Geo Retail. I mean, the list goes on. What made you take the leap from that world to impact and also ocean, actually? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a very interesting question. Thanks for asking. Well, really, the truth is I was in fashion and sports, and I was just doing the typical day-to-day. You know, you grow the business, you make it bigger, you open new stores, you sell more product, then you have a new season. And then it became a moment that I realized, what is the point of all this? We're just our marketing, our speech is around making the world better, helping the planet, making the products more sustainable. And all we do is to keep pushing more product in the world that is not needed. You know, I've seen the beauty of the fashion world, but I've also seen the warehouses full of product that will end up in landfill. I've seen how you sit in a meeting and you know what you should do to have real impact. And at the end, the choice is made that we have to make more margin. And so I think, probably I'm getting old, Will, and I decided, I just want to have real impact. And the real impact happens when you start from the beginning on the DNA of a company saying it's going to be an impact business. Of course, we're going to do profit, but the point is we really want to do what is right for people and planet, right? Profit, people, planet. So I set up the Impact Tailors company because obviously coming from fashion, keep doing clothing and accessories makes total sense. There's a whole world out there which doesn't seem very sexy when you talk about uniforms and merchandising, but it's a killer in the world. Like, I can give you a couple of numbers. Like, every day there's 30 million uniforms being produced in one day, which, by the way, by the end of the year, most of them end up on landfills. Like, all these things that we get for free, every merchandising you go, every event we go, how many tote bags do we get? How many t-shirts? How many cups that we don't need? So there's a statistics that said around 40% of everything that is given for free ends up in the garbage in 2 weeks. So
Wow.
this whole world that is invisible, because as I said, it's not very glamorous, right? Has a huge impact. So I set up that company as a founder, CEO. We're, working now with a lot of different industries, from hotel, airlines, hospitals, etc. But the truth, Will, is I felt that's not enough. That is not enough. That's another company, and we can have an impact. But what I felt setting up this new impact legacy company was, on one hand, I just want to create product that is as sustainable as possible, because everything has an impact, right? The best that you can. And the second thing I really wanted to do is just to make sure that I was helping talk about how all of us, it doesn't matter how high you are in an organization, what job do you have, what industry you work for, what profession you have, all of us make decisions every day that can have real positive impact. And the truth is, I meet a lot of people, and I've been exposed to a lot of businesses and people in the past, and I genuinely believe that a lot of people don't know sometimes what's wrong. And sometimes they have to really make decisions, and they don't understand how to make the right decision for impact. A lot of people have pressure on profit, but there's a way to do everything. So I just thought, this is not a mission of myself with Impact Tailors. This is the mission of all of us, you and me and all the guests that will come. And one of the things I really wanted to do is to have open conversations. It's not about saying how bad this person or this company is doing. I don't care about that. It's about, you're doing great. You have a great idea. Let's share. Let's inspire all the people, and try to just have a voice out there through all of you that can really help bring in the message that it's really up to all of us to have impact in this planet, whatever it is, whatever little drop in the ocean, And my passion for the ocean has been for many, many years. Now I've been a bit more educated with all of you ocean heroes, that really the ocean is critical for the health of the planet. That actually should be the blue planet, not the Earth, right? And that the ocean, if the ocean is sick, we're all going to get sick. So my passion in environmental stays. Ocean to me is number one. Obviously, I love the trees and I love biodiversity and everything, but I believe ocean can make a big difference. So that's really the purpose of doing this. So I'm new in this part of the business, but I'm just really hoping that we can attract the right talent like you, and the right leaders to inspire everybody else.
What does impact mean to you?
Impact. What does it mean to me? To me, it means that you change something in a positive and dramatic way. Or maybe dramatic is not the word. That's a very Spanish way of saying it. Like in a more meaningful way. Maybe that's what it is meaningful change that hopefully stays for a long time. And it's contagious. I was saying the other day, impact is contagious. Don't you think, like when you talk to people and then you get this energy of, we're doing this, so-and-so is doing that. I think it's very energizing and, contagious.
It definitely gives me, a huge amount of energy.
Yeah.
And so, being surrounded by people who are, driving forward like positive things for the world.
Yeah.
That is something that definitely motivates me and inspires me as well.
Yeah.
But it's cool that you're also an ocean person. So
Absolutely.
ocean number
I'm
one.
an ocean bottle fan, ocean lover. Yeah, ocean is
Amazing.
it.
Yeah, no, it is so key. I think, my ocean journey has definitely like developed over the years as well. And as I've really started to just learn and understand how important it is as an ecosystem, you can't, it's hard to look back from that. So every other breath of air we take comes from the ocean.
That's right.
3 billion people depend on it for their livelihoods. And it's the world's largest carbon sink. So, it's critical to all life on Earth. And we need to do a lot more for it. Yeah, well, as you're drinking that glass of water, Marissa, no, it is fascinating because I think it's over 99% of water in the world is actually locked up in the world's oceans. But it is it's a finite resource, and it's just incredible how everything goes round kind of in the water cycle. So evaporating from the ocean, raining on the mountains and land, and ultimately flowing back into the sea. And that is really a big challenge in terms of plastic pollution, because all the communities that we're working in, a lot of the plastic ends up in rivers and waterways and ultimately floods out into the ocean, especially during monsoon season. And this is, one continuous ecosystem. So that ultimately has no borders. And the more that we continue to pollute it, the more we continue to pollute ourselves. So yeah, it's really important that we take some pretty firm and decisive action, but there is a kind of, there's a clear pathway to actually tackling ocean plastic specifically. We need to eradicate single-use applications, especially, and replace those with nature-based alternatives. So, really follow the cycle of nature. And then for other applications, we need to close the loop. We need to start collecting this material and making sure it doesn't end up in the ocean.
Absolutely. I mean, I have some context on that as well from the fashion industry.
Yeah.
We used to say that the problem of plastic in the ocean is not really the plastic bottle, which it is. It is a problem to have a plastic bottle in the ocean, which I believe it takes like around 400 years, right, to dissolve. But the problem is easier to pick it up. The problem is the little microplastics that ends up becoming with years, which is something that you cannot clean up, right? And in the fashion world, the main issue is the polyester. People do not know that there's an average of 70% of our closet is made of polyester, which is basically petrol, it's plastic, right? Mm-hmm. And the issue with the polyester is when you put it in the washing machine, millions and millions of microfibers get through the water into the rivers and ocean. And those are the ones you will never pick up anymore, So the impact of water from your point of view is absolutely right, but it's in every single part of our world. Like the famous number of a t-shirt, a cotton t-shirt, which we have so many, all of us in our wardrobe, right? Just one t-shirt consumes, it is needed an average of 2,700 liters of water to create just one cotton t-shirt, which is the water one person drinks in around 3.5 years. Knowing the future of the world is going to have water scarcity, I keep saying, do we really need to buy another cheap t-shirt that you're going to wear 3 times and you're going to throw it again, because it was only like £5, somewhere cheap, So yes, water, the conversation on water, not only the ocean itself is critical for humanity.
I mean, maybe we should do a water episode. It'd be quite.
That would be
cool,
really
actually.
Good.
But, but what's really interesting as well, you touched on microplastics, and this is kind of back to impact legacy and what you're trying to do here. You've got, for example, Matter, who've created a filtration system that actually it can sit on your washing machine, but it also goes into industrial scale plants. And they can actually filter out over 90% of all of the microplastics from the waste water effectively, which is just incredible. So that, that's tackling it at one end of the spectrum. And then you've got, all kind of the material innovation happening around, different fibers using banana fiber and natural based solutions. So that encourages me.
But that's the thing, like we need legislation. I keep saying this because with this amazing innovation, I didn't know about that filter in particular. That should be a must.
Yeah.
I think the government in every country should say, you know what, every washing machine should have this filter. And otherwise it doesn't tick the standards that we need on quality. And I think we need to really push up from companies up to legislation, which takes a long time. But that's the way things will happen when top down is like a must and you have to have it, right?
Top down, bottom up,
everything.
Angle. All at once. No, I completely agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, well, we will not let you go, the Impact Legacy podcast, without our legacy challenge. So we ask every guest coming in to help us really move the needle and with some real action on our day to day. Because sometimes, I don't know if it happens to you, sometimes when you talk to people about impact and sustainability, it's like, wow, this is so impossible. You got to be perfect. They don't realize that doing a little bit can really make a big difference, So I ask every guest to give me a challenge and the audience on what is it that we can do straight away, this week, this month.
So my impact challenge would be obviously buy an ocean bottle. That's the first thing you can do. I'm kidding. If you've got a perfectly good bottle already, don't get another one. But no, I would probably say, I mean, to you, you're already in it. You're in the space. I think it's just keeping doing what you're doing, and this podcast is awesome because I think, hopefully, I think it's so important that we can just continue to recruit more people into impact and sustainability. So I think that's amazing. And yeah, for other people out there, anyone listening, start an impact business. If you're not, if you don't fancy doing that because it's quite full on, I think, try and challenge, your workplace and the company you work for. And that really means, reducing the harm that you're doing, but also seeking opportunities to do something positive for the environment and society.
So here we go. We had the challenge.
Easy peasy.
Very easy.
Not really.
We'll set up impact business, all of us. But if not, you're right. Every day we can do something about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
But thank you so much, Will. It's been a pleasure to have you here. And I hope to have you back in a few months.
Thank you
can
so
keep
much
telling
for having
us
me
what's going on.
We'll do episode 2, round 2.
Let's do that.
Sounds
yes.
good.
Thank you.
Brilliant. At Ocean Bottle, we make bottles people keep and impact they remember. Every ocean bottle sold funds collection of 1,000 plastic bottles in weight and prevents that from entering the ocean. Come join us. We're still just getting started. Head to oceanbottle.co. Our code is Impact Legacy in capital letters for your special discount.